You ready to have some fun this morning, people? Well, I am. Getting ready at 11 o'clock, turning the dials, making sure everything looks and sounds good. My face in particular. Oh gosh, it's a great morning this morning. There's those days when you don't even care if your glasses are dirty. You just work through it. You just wait. Not that my glasses are dirty, they're not, but just a thought. Good morning, everybody. Henry, I hope you're with me today. I'm smiling at you. Where are you? There you are. I'm smiling at you. Red lights are on. You push the buttons. So, smiling. Smiling at the camera. All right, so welcome, everybody. It's 11 o'clock on a Friday morning. Talking to myself, which is not uncommon, but we want to keep it to a minimum. It's a Friday, and on Fridays at 11 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time, we share with you great ideas here at 360 Performance, streaming on KUHS. What a great thing to do on a Friday at a time when things are kind of slowing down, get ready for lunch, wondering, am I going to go back to the office or not back to the office, maybe a game of golf. I'm trying to prepare my day, trying to get myself kind of launched into what's the rest of the day going to look like. And that's my lead into today's theme. We're going to talk about preparing to win. What's your focus? Are you determined? Are you ready to go to demonstrate what your desire is for that moment? And let me emphasize the word your desire. We're going to talk a little bit about that from the championship level of desire and looking at Miss Serena and Miss Sue Bird. And those wonderful young ladies that in the last few weeks were in the Little League World Series competing in a sport that typically was aligned with boys. But the girls are in, and they're good. They are good. It's a paradigm shift, I guess. But we're going to talk about what's the preparation to get to whatever those launch points are for you. The win, the success. For people like Serena Williams and her sister Venus, as well as Sue Bird, the career is very well booked with success stories, moments of accomplishment, and taking what you did in the gym or on the court, practicing that preparation, and with determination and desire, you delivered it. You demonstrated how good you are. That's what we're going to talk about. That's our focus for today. But let's start off with our mindset moment. This week, the mindset moment, we got two quotes because it fits with the theme. I'll give you the first one, which is from, rest in peace, Colin Powell. I really, really enjoyed Colin Powell as a leader and as a representative of our cultural differences and the gratefulness and the strength that he had in representing his family, our country, and here's the quote from him for today for the mindset moment. There are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. You've heard all three of those things here on this show at 360 Performance. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. So said Colin Powell. Colin Powell. Our second quote for Mindset Moment for today goes like this. Luck has nothing to do with it, because I have spent many, many hours, countless hours, on the court working for my one moment in time, not knowing when it would come. That's Serena Williams. And that kind of capsulizes where she's at this week and what has come about from her announcement that this is her last season, and yet with what she's doing as an individual tennis player, she might have a lot more gas in the tank. But that and those two quotes are the focus of today's show, about getting prepared, about being your own person. As you remind yourself, it takes hard work. And I'm going to have failures. I've got to learn from them. If I choose not to learn from them and get bitter about my failures, I'm just competing against others, the things outside of me, instead of focusing on me. And that's where Serena Williams is at, focusing on her this week at the U.S. Open. And yet we've got others like Sue Bird, who was recently, in the last game of the home series in Seattle, she waved goodbye to her fans as she actually fulfilled the announcement. It wasn't just an announcement. It's not like Tom Brady. I announce my retirement and I come back. God only knows how many times you'll do that. But with Sue Bird, she waves her goodbye and shares that with everybody. And in doing so, we then move to a goodbye as well from Serena and Venus Williams. Regretfully, in their doubles match last night, they got beat. But you have what could be construed as motivation for Serena, because now she can just totally focus on herself and look at her next match, which is this evening, her next finals match, the third round of the U.S. Open for her. And yet, another moment in time, dominant doubles players Serena and Venus Williams lose last night, but not without some smiles and some adulation from the opposing team. One of the young ladies is only 17 years old, and publicly through social media professed her love, appreciation, and gratitude for Serena Williams. How about that set of emotions and energy walking into a match? Your opponent is as grateful as anybody in the stands, but in this case was going to be swinging the racket and swatting the ball across the net at you. But as competitors, you consider it, you're grateful for it, and then it's game on. And then we had an announcement this week. This is very interesting because it is a milestone in anybody's career to be honored in such a way when you come into a program new, but you're not new. You've had successes. In fact, Russell Wilson beat the Broncos in a Super Bowl that we just didn't look at all. And Russell and his team, they were prepared. The separation, as Russell quotes, the separation is in the preparation, and they beat us badly. Well, they extended his contract, 5-year extension. And I think before the season even really starts, he hasn't played a snap yet in real time. He's practiced, he's worked hard, he's gotten ready, he's prepared, and he's got an extension of 5 years. That is awesome. Awesome for him, but also awesome for the football community to see that an ownership group believes in the program and the parts of that program, which Russell Wilson is part of that, to say to that person, you're valuable to us. We want to make sure you understand that. And for the 5 years, we should be able to nurture and develop, and hopefully you will deliver results that we as ownership and as fans in the stands can appreciate. 5-year extension. Russell is making himself at home. That's awesome. That is a wonderful, wonderful gesture to any player, but especially to a Broncos fan. Even though I say I like to see competition, you know, my hometown teams, I'm a fan of theirs. I don't like to see them lose. I love to see them win. Now, if they play another team with players that I like or I've worked with, it's going to be a competition. Just everybody compete. Have a good time. Enjoy yourselves. But Russell Wilson, it's good to have him here and have a kind of a stake pounded into the ground about the 5 years, and so that we know what to expect. We can just let it rock and let it move. But with that being said, I have to ask the question: when you're getting ready for these big contests, you know, we've got Sue Bird's she's preparing for playoff games. Serena's getting ready today for this evening's match for her third round of the U.S. Open against, it's a ranked player in the third round. But the other night, Wednesday or Tuesday night, she played the number 2 ranked individual in U.S. tennis. So she's doing pretty well. But the question becomes, what is enough? What is the right amount of preparation? And I know from experience in both talking to these elite athletes as well as business professionals too, asking the question, how much should I prepare for this presentation? How much should I get ready for this call? I've got this great big contract coming, or in this case with athletics, I've got this big situation coming up for me with the first game of the season. And guess who's he going to play against? The Seattle Seahawks, his old team. So how much should you prepare? Is it a matter of time, or is it a matter of certain touch points, certain things you do that you want to make sure you accomplish while you're doing it? You know, if you're a tennis player or a fan of tennis or both, you know that there's a routine, just like in any sport. There's a routine of preparation. I'll use tennis as the example. There's a certain number of swings you're going to take at the ball. You know, there's serves you're going to do. There's backhand, forehands. There's drop shots, perhaps. There's longer shots. You're going to practice a whole gambit of swings and shots based on your mental preparation for who am I playing? Where are the openings for me to get an advantage on that player? Are they a little bit touchy about my overhand, or is it my backhand, or is it my slice? What is it that I have as in my repertoire of swings and approaching the ball that I need to be aware of that's going to give me an advantage? Those strategies, along with the skills, are part of the prep. And I think that's common with any sport. Just like there's preparation for both Serena and Sue Bird in looking at what's next. What is next? Where do I go from here? And as you're preparing, you're thinking about, okay, is the process I used the last time I prepared for this particular tournament or this particular competitor, is it going to work again? Or is there something more I need to know? Or is there something more I could do better in my prep through that process? Because in that process that you're thinking through and the preparation that you're applying, whether it's skill or mental or both, it's all about you. Your awareness to what's going on in that preparation, to the specific actions, skills, and thoughts, the mindfulness of your awareness, so that you can deliver. You know, you have optimal delivery of your intentions and actions. That's important stuff. It's all about you. We've talked about that here before, but this week has gotten some very specific examples of looking at the awareness that's necessary for you to really focus on being about yourself. Not in a selfish way. I want to make sure I make that clear. I've said that before. It's not about you being selfish and being rude. It's more about being self-aware. Internalize it when I say it's all about you. And you gain that confidence and that in that preparation when you think through it's all about you, so that when you're asked by a teammate, or in some cases with tennis, it's an individual sport, you're asked by officials, you're asked by fans, you are properly positioned in your self-confidence, your self-awareness, that you can deliver really good responses, really good actions that are genuine, transparent, and sincere. That's what being all about you means. The awareness so you can prepare and gain a level of confidence that you can then share with others and benefit them in ways that they may not expect. Like one of the things that somebody didn't expect is 3 young men, 15-year-olds by the way, driving by in their car and seeing smoke coming out of a house. Well, they thought, oh geez, that smoke, it's a house, this is not the right time of day for that to be happening because most people aren't barbecuing at the middle of the morning. So they stopped, and one of them had some experience with being a volunteer firefighter at a young age, you know, those neighborhood firefighter things for young people. So they all 3 go and check, and sure enough, 2 elderly women are waiting for emergency response, not thinking that it might not come as fast as the fire does. And these young men forcefully brought them out of the house and saved them as the firefighters were approaching. Not to imply at all that the firefighters were late, but they thought about their capabilities, their skill, and they said, I'm aware enough, that looks not so good, we better go help. Didn't think twice. 3 young men, 3 15-year-olds, doing what is right, because they, through their self-awareness and their concern for others, they were prepared and confidently prepared to take the next steps and do what is right. It's awesome, awesome stuff. So I just found it interesting. In preparedness, sometimes you're not prepared for things that people say. My partner tells me when she's listening to sports broadcasts with me, and she's just tolerating me, but she does listen to them sometimes, and she just shakes her head when she listens to announcers. What are they saying? How did that come out of their mouth? She doesn't even know sports that well, and she could ask better questions. So sometimes as an athlete, your preparation doesn't give you enough insight, nor should it, because it's broadcasters. It's outside the field of play. You're focused on preparing for the field of play against who's competing with you. Well, we have moments where, like Serena Williams, in her second-round match, she was asked by the court reporter, and I don't mean it from a legal standpoint, the tennis court reporter, a reporter that's on the tennis court that comes in and interviews you after your match, and asks Serena how she felt and how surprised she was at her level of performance against a number 2 ranked person. And the only person's voice that really matters is Serena's. The only person's actions and results of her actions that matter are Serena's. And she said as much. Not in a bad way, not in a negative way, a very transparent and professional way. She says, just me, I am pretty good. I'm just being Serena. It's just amazing to me what we see as, in this case, a broadcaster, a reporter that's on courtside and goes over and asks the questions. And I know there's these books, I'm sure somebody's written a book about standardized questions to ask after a match is won and you're going to go talk to the winner, that kind of thing. But if we see the pictures of the passion of a Serena Williams, or the transparent glee and kindness in the eyes of Sue Bird in seeing a small young female fan in the stands and giving her a high five, I mean, that is somebody who may be destined for coaching as her next step, and coaching others that she can truly relate to. Like me, I'm old, but I'm still only 13 years old. I act like a 13-year-old sometimes. It's getting in touch with your child side of you and understanding and appreciating what that means for you and how it can be truly extended when you need to realize this has ended and something new is beginning. And maybe for a while you're not sure what the new thing is that's beginning. I think Serena is. I think she's said it publicly. Her daughter is very important to her. Looking at her family, considering growing her family, and maybe she will also be a coach, or maybe she'll be a broadcaster because she wants to ask better questions and make sure that the voice of the athlete is truly heard and respected in those moments. I'm very interested to see what Sue Bird does as the new beginning for her. I think she'd be just one heck of a coach, a guide, an example to young players coming up into the leagues of the WNBA, and also a great voice in the executive suites, the ownership suites, and talking about the franchise's social responsibility in the community, how much more we could do so that we can really connect with the community, put butts in seats, and build the business in a way that not only is competitive, it goes after championships, but makes and creates a footprint of socially responsible behavior in our communities. It's part of the conversations I have with any athlete I work with, and recently I'm going to give her a little bit of a pub today and some shout outs to Betsy Kelly Golf. Betsy Kelly is an LPGA golfer. She's not necessarily new to golf at the pro level. She's been around it, but she's had some challenges, and now she's in it off both feet, really getting after it, wanting to look towards the future and what that means for her. She's just a delight, and the reason I also bring her up is because she was a CSU graduate, a golfer at CSU, did some great things early in her career as a golfer, and now she's learning new things, surrounding herself with people that can really take care of not only the business side of golf, but also the skill side of the game, and give her insights in areas that are not her best side. You know, she needs help like everybody does. And I have my sides of things that I need help with. Sometimes not getting distracted is one of them. But I want to give a shout out to Betsy Kelly, LPGA golfer, going to start the Cactus Tour going into November of this year into March of next, and then the All Pro Tour following that. So good luck to Betsy, and I'm excited to be there to support you in any way I can. So switching back to Russell Wilson, I've got a picture up here of Russell holding a Super Bowl trophy. Some of it because it's sarcastic, since I am a Broncos fan. That was the game that we lost. And the Seattle Seahawks won. And I am now curious, in the preparation for the future, as relates to Russell Wilson, what does it hold? What's the end in mind? Well, one would say easily, right? Super Bowl trophy. That's the end in mind. That's what I want. Well, sure it is. Now, I'm going to get selfish. How many? You got 5 years. Is it going to be 5? What's it going to be? How are we going to prepare? What's the message? What's the behavior in our preparation that we're going to be looking for that's going to identify the behavior that's necessary to become a Super Bowl champion again? That's what I'm interested in. I'm really interested in that. Because, as I said earlier, each ending you have is a new beginning. The start of every day is a new beginning. You get this day, in these moments in this day, to get it right. Yesterday's gone. You had a shot yesterday. And you may not get the same experiences today to fix them, repair them, make them better, grow them. But you have a chance, because you're in control of it, it's all about you, to be the best you in this new beginning. But in simple terms, every day is a new beginning, regardless of what happened the day before. Even if there was endings in it, like with Serena and Venus Williams ending their doubles career in professional tennis, or Sue Bird ending her professional relationship with the Seattle Storm during the regular season. Now it's playoff time. See what happens. Maybe they'll get a championship again. The endings of Russell Wilson with the Seattle Seahawks, transitioning over to the Broncos. It would be so poetic if we were in the Super Bowl again with the Seattle Seahawks, and this time he wins again for his second Super Bowl trophy, but reverse. Almost a Willy Wonka moment. Stop, hold on, reverse that. Let's do that again. But one of the things I want to point out in this scene of the characters of Serena Williams and Sue Bird and Russell Wilson, their voice is the only voice that needs to be heard, because that's the only voice that represents them. And sometimes the voice is not a sound coming out of your mouth. It's not words being spoken. The voice is your actions. Actions, many times, as the saying goes, speaks louder than words. And many times, another quote is, your silence is deafening to me. What we don't say too often is truly a clear representation of who we are. It's just really interesting to me what has transpired in 2022 and how the year is going to end. What's the new beginning after the first of the year into 2023? Just some great things happening because of great people. I'm excited to see what Serena Williams does with her next start, as well as Sue Bird. Man, I would hope that Sue Bird maybe comes to Colorado. That would be kind of cool. I don't think we have a WNBA team here. Well, anyway, wishful thinking. Let's see what happens. But that would be a great place to watch things happen here in Colorado. All the new beginnings that we're having happen here, especially with Russell Wilson being part of those new beginnings for us. I'm paraphrasing these quotes from Serena, but I think it's pretty accurate. She basically said, I'm pretty good. You know, I've got a track record of these plates, these gold and silver plates that I kind of scored some championships. I've won a few trophies. I think I'm pretty good. I think I've got some skill set. But that being said, I'm just being me. Hitting the ball hard, finding the right spots, managing the court, watching my opponent, doing things that they can't take advantage of. They're going to try to take advantage of me. I'm going to try to defend that. I'm just being me. And as a result of being me, I've done pretty good. It's just amazing. The questions people ask when the obvious setting, the details, are not hard to interpret. She won. Hit some great shots. And she's done it for a long time. And the way she was running back and forth across the court, she's got some energy left in her. A lot of gas in that tank for her to keep moving. It's just extraordinary. So here, I'm going to give you some things here in a minute about what you can do for you at whatever level of championship elite behavior you are at, whether it's in sports, in business, in your personal life, with relationships, whatever it might be. These are thoughts that you should consider. I'm asking you to consider because they've been proven through success. Because I'm pretty good too. I've had some successes too, taking some wisdom from Serena. But before I do that, like we've done routinely in the last few shows, I'm going to back up, take a breath, and just reflect. Just take a moment to reflect on what's really going on in our world and what's going on around us. And also to reflect on you and the best of who you are. I've showed this picture many times before, but if find yourself in a setting today that's comfortable for you. You might have people around you. You don't have to have people around you. But find a place where the all five senses are soothed, and they're not pushed too hard. They're not challenged too much. So that you give yourself a chance to really optimize a reflective moment. And for me, a visionary sight and then breathing are the two key components I go to first. So I've got this great sunset at the Kona Inn, looking out over the retention wall in the restaurant there at the Kona Inn, at this wonderful Hawaiian sunset along the west beaches of Kona. It's just really, I'm talking to you and I'm still feeling good about the image and reflecting on what it means to me. The palm trees, the casual nature of people sitting along the breakfront wall. It really feels good. I can almost feel the warmth of the sun as it sets, and the sounds of the waves slapping against the concrete wall and rocks below me, or the sounds of the restaurant's patronage as they talk and order their food and commiserate with one another. Do whatever it takes to find the details in your reflections that's going to help you renew yourself and put yourself in a place that's going to be able to support your optimization of your preparation and the processes that you need to really drive yourself to a point of leveling up. Get to a place where you are really feeling good about yourself and that you're in control of you. It's all about you. For you to be your best for anybody else, teammates, family, colleagues, co-workers, whatever it may be, you need to be strongly and confidently aware of who you are and that it's all about you before you can strive to be the best for others. Okay, we're streaming to you here, KUHS Denver, on a Friday, 360 Performance. I'm your host, Lowell Whiteman, Dr. Whiteman. Some call me Coach. I have no real preference. Just don't abuse it too much. You know, just be friendly, collegial. You know. No, I'm just kidding. It's coach. I love coach. Coach is a great word. We're going to talk about prep process, your preparation processes, some steps to consider as you're mindfully looking at the actions you need to take to get to a specific goal. Now, as I say that, I'm going to give some props out to the Colorado Mesa Mavericks. They had their first game last night against the Cardinals down in St. Louis. Or is it Kansas City? Well, you know, it's somewhere. It's in Missouri, and they had a good game. They won by it was 38 to 14, I believe, something like that. They had a wonderful game. So, props to Coach Miles Kochevar and the coaching staff down there at or over there. I shouldn't say down there. Over there at Colorado Mesa. The Mavericks are back home for a home game this next week, and they're I'm sure they're practicing. Well, they practiced this morning, I think. They're a morning practice team based on the schedules they have on campus. So, congratulations to Coach Miles Kochevar and the Mavericks coaching staff. So, prep process. First thing I want you to think about: set some goals, but not just any kind of goals. Set some SMART goals. To be mindful and have a chance to optimize your awareness, it starts with specific, hopefully written, goals that fit a profile like SMART goals. And what SMART stands for, the S stands for specific, the M stands for measurable, attainable is the A, R is realistic, and T is for timely. Now, each of those has merit, whether it's in sports or business or personal. Each one of those letters, you can discover and define goals that fit who you are and what you're about. But it also has some lessons about, realistic is the one I tend to fall on a lot, because it reminds me of a young man who was a freshman in high school back when I was doing basketball camps and clinics. And we were talking about goals. And he said, we asked him, what's one of your goals? He said, well, I want to dunk the ball. I look at him and kind of a grin on my face. I said, and how long do you give yourself to attain that goal? And he seriously came back to me. I'd like to do it by the end of camp. I came to camp to, work out hard, really commit myself to making this happen. And then there's a bunch of chuckles in the group. And all the kids were there, the coaches were there. And what I haven't told you is the kid, maybe if I gave him some credit, was maybe 5 feet tall, maybe. And so I saw he was serious, and I took a breath and I said, well, let's just talk about this a little bit. And this is for the benefit of everybody. So I made sure I didn't embarrass him. I said, okay, could you help everybody else understand what goal setting is all about? So you've got a goal to dunk the basketball by the end of camp, right? He said, yes. I said, and you're about, I think I said 5 feet tall. He said, you're about 5 feet tall. He said, yeah, I am. I said, okay, so come over here to the basket, stand underneath the basket, and I want you to show me what's your baseline? Where are you at right now with your jumping? And I said, have you ever touched the bottom of the net? He very slowly, very quietly, he tipped his head and he said, well, I've come close, but no. I go, okay. I just want you to understand, let's put some measurement on this. So the M stands for measurable, and we're talking about realistic. We haven't even got to timely. We're very specific, and eventually we're going to get to attainable. So long story short, we got to the point where he was starting to see the measurables. That the distance from the bottom of the net to the rim was about 10 inches. And then there was a little bit of margin above the rim that you'd have to get the ball over it to successfully dunk it. And then I measured his hand. I compared his hand to mine. My hand's pretty big. And yet I was told I was going to be able to palm the ball. Well, I passed that test more than a few times. So we gave him, we literally had a workshop on each letter of SMART goals. And it was disappointing at the end because he had a sad face and he wasn't going to probably dunk the ball by the end of camp. But I said, look, if you keep coming to the camps year after year through your middle school times and into high school, we will work with you every single camp to help you accomplish your SMART goals, whatever they might be. If your SMART goal is still to dunk the ball, we'll work on that too. And so he was a great ambassador, had a great attitude as a kid. But realistic is really an important mindfulness component of setting SMART goals. I want to emphasize that one. And realistic, attainable, and measurable all kind of twist together because, boy, if your measurable is not attainable, well, you better think of some other things, or maybe change your goal strategy. This young man, I tell you the end of the story, move forward in time, he did eventually grow, and he did eventually get the ball to the rim. I don't know that we could legitimately say he cleanly dunked the ball, but by the time he was a senior in high school, he was definitely able to get the ball up to the rim and, like press it against the rim. Wasn't quite getting an extra 2 to get it over the rim and legitimately cleanly dunk the ball. But the journey was wonderful. I'm sure he learned a lot about himself and the game of basketball in his journey. But one of the things that he had to face during that discussion we had was managing emotions. There was a couple of pieces of moisture dribbling off the corner of his eye here and there, and that he disregarded and tried to ignore. Got the machismo going, and he would do the wipe away kind of thing, like, oh, it's sweaty, and I'm sweaty. But managing emotions, and that in itself, as silly as it might sound, that's a way for people to manage emotions. Misdirect, redirect, ignore the negative aspects of the emotions that are I'll say it here in a minute, filtrating into the system and causing you to have to face something you don't want to have to face because it distracts you from your primary objective. That's the point in prep process. You've got bigger goals to attain. Stay on task. Keep the ball in play. It's important to make sure you stay focused. And in doing that, you're giving yourself a better chance to manage the emotions that may be coming up in your SMART goals. But that's the second piece I want you to think about in your prep process. Know about the emotions, know about the things that cause you to kind of tip over the edge a little bit, but manage your emotions. The next piece I want you to look at is to remember and remind yourself often, you're first. It is you first. That mindset, being mindful of yourself first, amps up your sensitivity to awareness. The awareness you have of your environment. The awareness you have of others in that environment with you. The awareness of teammates around you during the game so that you can work together in concert, almost like one moving object. That's very important. So it's you first. It starts with you so that you can then gain that awareness confidently in applying your skills and incorporating others with you. Because if you're aware of you, you will quickly be able to and strongly and confidently identify the needs and wants of others as well as their skills and how to incorporate them into your movement, your action, and obtaining your goals. Sorry, attaining, I think is the word. So, you first. Focus on that awareness. The next one is, and look, this is hard for any level of athlete or performer to take a look at. What are my weaknesses? And many people in professions, sports, musicians, artists, entertainers, they're projecting positivity from themselves out to others. So timing is huge as to when to address knowing your weaknesses. I wouldn't suggest reflecting too deeply on your weaknesses and being mindful of them during a presentation or during the series snaps during a football game. I would think about those before that. maybe practice a little bit. This is where knowing your weaknesses is kind of connected to that you first thing, that awareness that I better reflect on me, man, and know, oh gosh, I've got some work to do in snapping the ball to my quarterback because I just launched one over his head. Thankfully, he covered me and recovered the ball without turning it over to the other team. But it's that's that self-awareness in when you look for your weaknesses is tough. It tends to manage into the emotions piece as well. So you see there's some connections here with all four of them as foundationally creating your prep process, making sure it considers these components. And boy, knowing your weaknesses is a big piece of that. So as I say that, let's take a look at the next step in managing our emotions. I wrote this down. I hope that this was going to make sense to you the first blush, but I'm going to presume it might not for everybody. Deliver your excellence first. And what that means is, in specific terms, you have skills you're really good at, and you know what those are. And don't get smart. It's not the opposite of your weaknesses, okay? Because some weaknesses are pretty good skills sometimes. You just don't want to have too much of that at any given time. But if you've got strengths, like if you're a good quarterback and you can rip the ball 20 yards, when they call in a play that's got a 20-yard pattern, you better be looking for that and not looking away for something else. Now, of course, you look away if they're covering it pretty tight. But my point is, deliver the skills and the traits and talents that you have that represent your excellence, so that you can talk to the coach about what needs to be put into place, talk to the coach during practice about a different way of looking at it so that your best can come out. You have a dialogue with your teammates. I'll reflect on the story I had with the offensive line at the Mesa Mavericks, and I was talking to the center, who's a senior, and he's a leader. You know, he's had conference honors and what have you, and he's an experienced young man. He's a smart young man. And I asked him, being that this is his first full season with the Mavericks, I said, have you talked to all of your offensive linemen teammates from depth chart number 1 to depth chart number 2, the top two, because now 1 and 2s will exchange a lot in offensive line. I said, have you talked to them? He goes, well, yeah, I talk to them every day. No, I said, no, as a unit about your goals and what you want to try to accomplish this season. Well, no, I said, so you don't have any goals for the offensive line, and you're the captain, right? All of a sudden, light bulb goes on. He goes, no, I never thought about that. I said, well, how do you expect your teammates to deliver their excellence, or for you to deliver your excellence on every snap if you're not quite sure about what everybody else is doing? That would be a kind of a cool thing to do, wouldn't it? So that you understand what's going on. That would be important for everybody to have their heads in the same place. He tilts his head to the side, he goes, yeah. So thankfully, I confirmed with the head offensive line coach, and he's the assistant offensive coordinator. Trevor said that Keenan had a meeting with his offensive line teammates, and whether or not they established anything other than just having some pizza and a beverage, I don't know. But the fact that they started the conversation to understand each other better, when they played their first game last night, I noticed some really good work on the line. I mean, the line allowed the quarterback time to throw some good passes. They opened up some great holes. They were consistent for 4 quarters. That was a big thing. And so I'm going to hope there was some good exchange there. But there's plenty of room for improvement, right? we've got time. But the prep process is important for everybody to have as a tool to get ready, and yet we tend to back away from it if you're not someone who likes that order. Now look, I need order. I know I need to be structured and organized, but I'm not the best at it. then tells me I need to do more. That's a weakness. I got to address the weaknesses and really wrap my arms around it and do a better job at using tools that help me be better organized. So I'm hoping that when you get into a prep process, you're doing it and working on it in ways that make you better, so that you're motivated to do it when it's maybe not such a great skill for you. You're not all that confident about it, because I tend to back away from planning sometimes because I just don't want to do it. And yet I know it's essential and it's important, and especially when I know it's something it's one of my weaknesses. Those are the first ones you should pick up and try to get started. So I couldn't let this go by. Our quote for the mid part of the presentation today, our show today, is from Russell Wilson, because it's so apropos for, what are the preparation processes? Well, now I'm talking about, from this quote, what's the outcome? If I prepare, what do I get? If I really work hard at my awareness and understanding who I am, and apply that awareness into my prep process and setting goals and making sure that I'm managing my emotions, the separation comes from preparation. The distance between me and someone else who I compete with or against will be larger because I prepared well. I'm the #1 center because I worked my ass off to get this spot, and I delivered results. I've got the attention of the coaches, and I continue to prepare to maintain that separation. Now, that's my long-winded way of sharing an example of Russell Wilson's quote. But he's a consummate preparer, as is other athletes I've worked with in the past. The Michael Jordans of the world, the Scottie Pippens, the Tim Grovers, who were trainers of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. They're preparers. They prepared for success so that they could gain that separation. I mean, if you've watched any outstanding performers, be they pro or amateur players on your favorite teams, you know the ones that prepare well because they have a distinct separation from anybody else in the competitor group in the way they think and the way they act. You can see it. You know it's there. It's obvious. For those who are just kind of mediocre to average in their preparation, it's hard to determine the separation between them and any other competitor. That's when, as coaches, we get a little concerned about where's this game going to go. But if we prepare and we have a commitment from our team to create prep processes that work for them, so they can own it, they can own the process. It feels more comfortable to them when they can see the end in mind and understand what's in it for me. That's what I call the WIFMs, what's in it for me. Because preparing for failure is an awareness every champion masters. And this statement I put in here because I've said it over and over again. Error and failure ignored is going to enlarge your future failures. So when you wrap your brain around what have I done wrong, what can I do better, what did I actually fail at? When you prepare by knowing that information, that's your awareness, you will master the championship and champions' behavior. You will be able to apply yourself in a more direct and focused way on the things you're great at. I love these kinds of interactions with quotes and images of not just successful athletes or successful business people, artists or entertainers. I like it because it proves the point. It's not just words on paper. For those who are at great levels of performance in their careers, they know that separation is in the preparation. It comes from the preparation. So let's go back to one of the first questions I asked this morning. How much do I prepare? What's enough? Now, there is a point where it could be too much. And that point is when you feel distracted. You don't have a clear vision of what the actions are in the performance I'm going to deliver. You can't see yourself performing. So one of the things I ask my athletes to do when I start seeing the signs of them getting too caught up in the process, I stop them and ask them what may look like a meditative moment. I go, sit down in this chair, get comfortable, feet flat on the floor, relax, breathe. Now close your eyes. You can't believe how many people that's difficult for them to do, closing their eyes and keeping them closed for an extended period of time. Because that's what I'll be asking them to do. To come away from the process. You're too immersed in the process. You're in the weeds, as people say. Sit down in this chair, relax, close your eyes, take a big breath, clean. And as you're doing that, think about the snap of the ball. Think about the keys of the piano, play the introductory chord. Think about the audience has stopped clapping and it's now your turn to start entertaining. Envision that. Get a feeling for that. See that in real terms the way you want it to be seen. Now you're starting to come back to the realities of performing and delivering from your preparation. Now you're starting to increase the separation because you can see what you need to do. It's part of your process prep. It's also interesting with the beginning of football season what is happening all over the country. One of those actions is a very heartfelt philanthropic effort by the Houston Texans. They have their opening game coming up soon, as do all the NFL teams. And what they're going to do, what they've already done, they went over to Uvalde and talked to the Uvalde High School football team and watched some practices, did some clinics and mini camps for them and their players. They're honoring one of the players who's going to wear a jersey number 21, which represents the 21 fallen citizens and students from the Uvalde massacre. And everybody is going to rep the slogan, Uvalde Strong. And then following that recognition, because the Texan football players are going to stay and watch the game and do some things with the fans. And then their game, on their helmets, they have a sticker that honors Uvalde Strong for their first home game. As they said in an interview today on Good Morning America, they are a part of the family, the football family of Texas, and that Uvalde is part of that community and part of that family. I think it's important for us all to recognize and remember those who compete to level up and be their best. And too many stories have come out of Uvalde about the young children that their families spoke of how excited they were, because on that day of those shootings, in the morning, it was the awards banquet. So many of these kids had their parents there earlier in the morning before the shooting, recognizing their children for the great works they've done and the hopes and dreams they had for the future. Because that's what happens when you get an award. You know, teachers recognize you, leaders talk about you in your presence, they give you a piece of paper, they award you with recognition, and you start thinking about, oh, whoa, what can I do next? You know, where's the next step for me? Where can I level up and compete even at a more higher level? So regretfully for 21 citizens of Uvalde, Texas, that's not going to be the case for them being able to level up, at least not in the real time. It's important for us to know that when you prepare and create processes for your preparation, there are people watching you. There are people who look at you and wonder if they can do what you do, and allow themselves in their competition to level up. They then move to their next level of success. As sad as it might be for many of us, the Uvalde situation and the community of Uvalde is strong and are moving forward. And none of us will know exactly what it feels like, and I hope you never do. But that being said, everybody in that community knows what it feels like to level up. In many of their cases, they didn't have a choice. They either had to level up or they were desperately lost to the emotions of that situation. So as we talk about that and begin to close the show for today, I want to make sure that everybody understands that in preparing for anything, there's a process involved. What you do within that process begins to define your purpose and intent for delivering the best of who you are. Because remember what I said earlier? It's all about you. What you deliver for you will be the example and roadmap for others to understand how to interact with you. And for some, maybe even follow you, because you've done such a great job of preparing. Now, every week I do preparation, as many of you see the formats I use and the images I present. And it's because I've got a great situation here in the resources at KUHS where we stream in a way that many people have no idea how great our resources are here. But KUHS is one of the leaders in streaming internationally. And I'm so blessed to be part of this process and grateful for the opportunity to be in studio today. Still dealing with my leg, my left knee, but I'm getting close to getting rid of those darn crutches. I just don't like them. So if you get a chance, when we post this particular broadcast for today, we'll be posting on Spotify or Apple or Google. All you have to do is type in 360 performance, 360 performance. And if it's Spotify, you're going to get that wonderful logo we have for a 360 Performance podcast, and listen to today's show or share it with a friend. Ask us some questions, fill out some of the surveys we have on there, and enjoy the messages about being better at being you, so that when you do the things you do for you and you can share them with others, get involved at levels that are even better than what you expected. Be part of the community, not part of the problem. Making plans, one of those plans being prep processes, allows you to take action at levels that represent truly who you are and the best of who you are. Because if you can't represent who you are, it's going to be tough for you to be supportive of anybody else. Be you. Be you first. Because as Serena Williams says, you know, I'm pretty good. I'm good at what I do. I love that. That was such a great exchange. Streaming here at KUHS is part of what I do every Friday, 11 o'clock. For 360 Performance, I'm Dr. Whiteman, or Coach to some, wishing you the best of the day and the best of the weekend. There's some wonderful stuff happening this weekend with sports, entertainment. But if you have a good day of weather, get outside, be active, enjoy yourself, and share with others the best of who you are anytime you can. Have a great day today. Talk to you soon.